Is making a good comic enough in 2024? I don't think so, but let's dive into it here in a second. My name is Raj. I'm an independent comic creator, and I am starting this YouTube channel to kind of share my journey from someone who isn't making a full living at it to hopefully one day making a living at it. Okay, let's jump into the question of the day. Is making a good comic enough? For some people, I think it is. I think for some people, there are the creators and artists who are really don't want to do the business side of things, that don't want to do social media, that don't want to do newsletters, that don't want to promote. There are the rare few out there that can do that. But I would argue that for independent artists today trying to make a living, you can't just be a creator. You have to also be very business minded and you have to be an entrepreneur. This is a business, and I want, I guess, to share and kind of my journey and my struggles with coming to grips with the idea that I can't just create all the time. One of the big reasons is that you can create the most amazing comic, you can write the best stories out there, and if no one sees it, then how are they going to consume it? How are they going to become your fan? How are they going to become my fan? They won't, right? They will, your work will just go unseen and will just live in your mind, live on sheets of paper. For some people, that's okay. For some people, this is a hobby. For some people, they don't make comics for other people. They don't plan on making a living. So maybe that's you. Maybe you're not trying to make a living with your comics. Maybe you are just content doing this at home on the side, doing this just for the fun of it. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's awesome. And I'm not necessarily talking to you guys when I'm talking about this. I'm talking about the people, I'm talking to the people that want to make comics their full-time gig. I want the people that want to do comics at home and don't have to have another full-time job, don't have to take on a lot of freelance gigs even. So how do you do that in 2024 when social media is everywhere, right? How do you do that when we are constantly being inundated with content, when we are definitely oversaturated, right? How do you get seen? How does your work get out there? Some people will argue that if you make good work, eventually it will be found. I don't know if I buy that. I don't know if I like that because that leaves a lot of things out of your control. And I don't think it's this ethereal thing where people will just find your work without you having to do anything if it's good enough. I think that if you want your work to be found, if you want to make a career out of it, you need to put in the effort. I need to put in the effort. This is something that I struggle with, that I'm currently struggling with. Right now, my comic doesn't bring in any income for our home. Right now, I'm on the verge of launching a new website, the verge of launching the first chapter of my comic, and I had a really like tough day yesterday just talking to my wife like, hey, like I'm not making any money, right? And so how do we as comics creators get to a point where we're more business minded and realize that the work isn't enough, the art itself isn't enough? And so here's a few things that I think we need to start considering about the business, about art, about how to like become full time at this. First, I think we need to rethink how we're thinking about social media. I think a lot of artists are selfish when they post. And what I mean by that is people are posting on social media because they want to get something out of it. They either want more followers, they want people to buy their stuff, they want people to comment, praise them, whatever it may be. And I think, and I'm guilty of this. For the longest time, I was posting just to get the likes, just to get the followers. And I realized that wasn't satisfying. And I realized that's not how social media works anymore. Social media started off kind of what, as like the name suggests, a very social place where you can connect with people, connect with friends. It was MySpace. You had your top 8 friends. On Facebook, you would let people know, like, this is what I'm doing right now. But now it's become, especially for independent creators, especially for people who are running businesses, it is now they are entertainment apps. People come to social media because they want to be entertained. You go to TikTok, people don't even look at their followers; they look at their For You pages. They are swiping, swiping, swiping until something catches their attention, until they are entertained. So, as comics creators, how do we shift the narrative? How do we go from I'm posting things so that I get followers, so that I get fans, instead to be like I'm posting content and art to entertain others, and then whatever comes from that comes from that. I think that is a much less selfish way to think about how we are approaching social media. I think it is a way to potentially shift our mindset so that people become more engaged with the work we are posting. And I also think it allows us to be okay with the word content. I think we have a lot of people don't like that term content because they think it diminishes the art in what we do. But I don't think that's the case. I think what we post out there in the world is for people to see, is for people to enjoy. We want them to like what we're doing, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, calling that content. I think it's just another word for what we produce for people to see, right? Let me put it this way. So let's say there's a guy out there that makes the best pizza. He makes the best pizza in the world. He is, his family loves it. His friends love it. Everybody tells him he has the best pizza and that he should share it with the world. But let's say he doesn't open up a shop. He doesn't have commercials. He doesn't have flyers. He doesn't have ads. He doesn't tell anybody about the pizza. Do you think anybody is going to just find this pizza just because it's good pizza if they don't hear about it? No, of course not. That's crazy. How would people come across this pizza unless they are told about this pizza? And I think that's the same with comics. I think the only way people are going to find our comic is that if we are telling them about it. They're going to find our work if we're telling them about our work. I think that as artists, we often want to ignore the business side of things, but we just like creating. We just like sitting back and saying like, no, I create art, I write my work, and then I am done. And I don't think about the business. And I would love that. I would love to just sit in my studio and not worry about taxes, not worry about social media or newsletters or Comic Cons or vendor markets. If I didn't have to do any of that, I wouldn't, right? But I think if I didn't do any of that and I had a great comic, it wouldn't matter that I had a great comic because no one would hear about it and no one would see it. So I think I guess if I'm going step by step, how do I get from point A to point B? How do I get from no fans to however many fans? Let's make up a number of 10,000 fans, 15,000 fans, whatever it is. I think first, I would agree with most people, the work needs to be good. And to get the work good, especially in comics, I think the writing is super important. I think I would put the writing above the art. I think a lot of us, including myself, came to comics because the pictures, of the art, of the drawing, right? Or we drew a lot as a kid, and so I want to do comics. It makes sense. That's me. That's how I got there, and I've had to, and I'm still continually learning to write. And for me, it's been a lot of fun. I think some of it comes natural to me, the storytelling, but a lot of it is just like, I like to figure out like, okay, what goes in this act? What goes in act 2? What goes in act 3? How does this story flow? And I enjoy that process of it. But then some of you out there may just want to be the artist, might not want to be the writer. And so you may not have to worry about the skills of the writing side of it. And so that's personal to you, and you kind of need to figure out what path you're on and what your end goals are, in order to kind of parse out, I guess, what skills you need to acquire. But for me, I am doing the writing, I'm doing the art, and so storytelling is number one for me, and then just, I guess, the fundamentals of art. What is perspective? What is anatomy? How do I learn all those tools and acquire all those tools to be able to use in my work? But then after that, you need a website. You need social media platforms to be able to post this, to share it with the world. You need a newsletter to start gaining true fans. I think social media can inflate what you think, like how many people you think are actually your fans. My social media following is pretty meager. Instagram, I have like 1,400 people, and there are people that I know that have 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, but it's pretty across the board. People would say you're going to get 1% conversion rate. You're not going to get a lot of people that are true fans, in the sense that they will buy your product no matter what product you put out there. And so there's this idea of 1,000 true fans, which I think is, to summarize it, is if you have 1,000 true fans that will buy whatever you put out there, that'll spend $100 on you a year, which could be just like a few books, some stickers, some prints, whatever you have, whatever product you want to provide. If you have 1,000 people that year in, year out will buy your work, then you are set financially, right? That's kind of the idea behind that. And so, but the only way to gain those 1,000 fans is to show them your work, is to promote your work, is to create content that is entertaining, that fills a need, that is valuable to them. And there needs to be a shift in our mindset to becoming more business minded in order to do that. Again, I don't disagree that the art and the writing is super important, and it's still number one, but I just don't think it's the only thing that we should be thinking about. So let's shift our mindset as comics creators to understand that we are not only artists, but we are also business people. And hopefully, as we build this community of people that are like trying to figure it out, we can grow together, learn together, and get to a point where we're like, okay, we're not only creators anymore, we're business-minded people as well. Let me know in the comments if you have some cool business practices that you've learned over the years, if there's something that you have found valuable. And if you wouldn't mind, like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it if you liked what I shared here today. Thank you guys. Until next time. Peace.